Hello everyone, it's Leigh here. Thanks for coming back to my channel. So this is the very last episode of the 2022 Doodle Challenge. This is a challenge that I co-host with Julie from Art and Junk Journals with Julie. So we've been doing it for 6 months now. So we're going to just retire this one and concentrate on our scavenger hunt collaboration, which will be running until the end of the year. So for August, the prompts for your doodle type or shape is hearts, the highlight colour is gold, and the feature or theme is a bird or animal of your choice. Now with the bonuses, you can either choose not to do any of the prompts, or you can add splatters, words or writing, stenciling and stamping. Which brings me to my work today. So I have 2 pieces of watercolour paper. I have some stamps of birds, so I'm going to use them as my drawing. Okay, so with one piece of the paper I'm going to stamp that before I start painting it, and with the other one I'm going to paint it and then stamp it, and I just was interested in what would be the better result. So that is permanent ink, so archival ink that I'm using. This is probably the best stamp. I mean, it's a nice image, but the front bird is, a bit dark, but I didn't have another one anything like it, so I thought I'd use that. Doesn't stamp very well onto watercolor paper, but I only want it to be there as like a ghosty sort of thing in the background that I can draw over. So I'll put that aside and I'll use the other piece of paper and get some watercolors down onto that. I'm just activating those watercolors with my water spray bottle, just so they're ready to go. They'll still need some more water added to them. I always forget to wet my page before I start. All I'm trying to do here is to get some colours in the background, something that could represent sky, foliage and some flowers perhaps, and my birds will go over the top. So I've got my first background done, and now I'm going to put some colour onto the one that I've already stamped. I've tested the stamping and it is dry, so the watercolour shouldn't make that ink run at all. I'm just going around the birds to begin with, getting my background in place. As I'm adding the colour on, sometimes there's a little bit too much water on the page and the paint spreads further than I want it. I'm just using a piece of paper towel to lift that off. Probably would have been better if I had dried it before I started painting the birds. Sometimes I haven't noticed that the water has shifted the paint and spread it everywhere, which it did on the tail and that little bird up in the top there, but it ended up looking okay anyway, so I decided to just leave it once I did notice it. So what I'll do on this one, and it's something that I really won't ever do again, is I used Stabilo pencil on it to do my outlines and then wet the Stabilo and to activate it. But then I needed to put more colour on the page, and when I was adding the colour more watercolour on, it actually made the Stabilo run everywhere into the colours and made everything muddy. So I was a bit disappointed with myself for doing that. I should have known it would do that, but in the heat of the moment I forgot. And yeah, so you'll see where I make that mistake a bit further on. So that one I've put aside to dry, and this is where I get the Stabilo out and butcher this one. But it's funny, like when I was doing it I thought it was a complete disaster, but looking at it now it's not as bad as I thought it was. It probably ends up looking worse by the time I try to fix it. But sometimes you think that something is no good, but then so you try to fix it, but then when you're watching back your video to do your edit, you think, oh, that wasn't so bad after all, I should have just left it the way it was. But, yeah. Maybe a big mirror on the wall that you can hold things up to, so you can see them from a distance, to give yourself a better perspective on things, rather than having your head right above something that you're working on. You can see things clearer. When I was painting, I did a course with an Australian painter called Leigh and he used to tell everyone to hold your painting up in front of a mirror, like if you weren't sure whether you liked it or not, and pretend that it was someone else's work, and it makes you think differently about it when it's not your own project. And it does work, and you can see things too. It's a bit like if you take a photo with your phone, and then you look at it and it looks different to what it does on your desk. So it's good advice, but unfortunately I don't follow it very often. So this is starting to get a bit messy now, because I've got my I've got my watercolour brush and I'm activating that Stabilo pencil, which isn't bad in itself. It's only when I try and put more watercolour over the top of it that the water in the paint makes the Stabilo run everywhere. Mixes everything up to a bit of a muddy mess. So I put hearts on all my birds' chests. Actually, one's got one on the back. And my flowers are hearts. So I decided to put that away and work on the other one. And this time I didn't put the Stabilo anywhere near it. I just used a marker pen, so a fine liner, because I knew that wouldn't run. Or it might if I'd put paint straight over the top of it, it probably would have. But once it was dry, it wasn't going to go anywhere. It's permanent. But because I stamped this one a bit lighter, I sort of lost the image. I couldn't. You can see me looking at the stamp, trying to work out where one bird ends and the other one starts. So it was a bit confusing. So I'm just going to let this run on. It's pretty self-explanatory what I'm doing. I use what do you call it? Gelatos a bit later on, and metallic markers and a few other things. I'll jump back in if there's something that I think you need to know about what I'm doing. But If you're going to join in this challenge and you're making a video on YouTube and putting it up on YouTube, just include the hashtag 2022 Doodle Challenge AUG for August, and that will put it with the other videos. I know the hashtag playlists aren't working at the moment, but all the videos get grouped together in a list if you use that hashtag. There is a playlist that is available if you want to add it to that one. It's just 2022 Doodle Challenge, so you can use either or both of them. Probably both is better, because if they ever do fix the hashtag business up, then your video will be in the August list as well as the main one. So here's my two pictures, my heart-shaped doodly birds. I don't think there was any difference in putting the stamp on first or putting it on top of the paint, so to me it made no difference. It was what I did and what I used on top of it afterwards that made the difference. My favourite is the one on the right hand side. Don't forget to check out Julie's channel and her video for this challenge. Her channel is Art and Junk Journals with Julie. There's a link to her channel in my description box. Also, there is a link to the prompts for the challenge, so if you want to join in and you can go back and do the previous months as well, you can print off the actual list of prompts from there. So I'll wrap this up. I'm going to have to do my follow-up video on my leaf printing that I did on the tissue paper, so I've got myself organised into a point where I can do that, so that'll be my next video, probably in a couple of days time, and then it'll be Marguerite Miller again. So hooroo from Australia, have fun, take care, bye for now.